Every culture has raised the cup. Every nation has praised the fire within it. They call it celebration. They call it freedom. They call it life. But what if the truth is darker? What if the drink you celebrate was never meant to awaken you, but to consume you? The word itself, Al-Kuhul, once meant the spirit, not the spirit of the soul, but the spirit that takes. And while people toast with laughter, something deeper is happening. The body numbs, the mind dulls, the soul grows silent. Most never question it, because it's tradition, because it's normal, because everyone around them is doing the same. But the soul cannot be fooled. It knows the fire of the cup is not the fire of awakening. This is not about judgment. It's about truth. The truth that alcohol doesn't free you. It binds you. And until you see the illusion, you may never discover the true cup waiting within you. Since the dawn of time, humanity has searched for a way to transcend its ordinary reality. Some sought silence, some sought prayer, and some sought the cup, a liquid fire, promising release, promising ecstasy, promising a shortcut to the divine. In ancient tongues, the word Al-Kuhul did not simply mean alcohol. It meant the spirit. Not the spirit of awakening, but the spirit that consumes. It was known as the subtle powder, the essence that could draw out, distill, transform. And though it was born of alchemy, its shadow became intoxication. The cup became a symbol, not of truth, but of escape. A vessel humanity raised high, hoping to find freedom at the bottom, only to discover chains waiting instead. Every civilization touched it. Every culture flirted with its promise. And each learned the same lesson, that the cup could blur the senses, but never awaken the soul. The ancient cup remains with us today. Different names, different rituals, but the same illusion that freedom can be poured, that transcendence can be swallowed, that the soul can be reached through a liquid fire. At first, the fire feels warm. It softens the edges of the day. It numbs the restless mind. It makes the heart believe for a moment that all is well. This is the seduction, the false comfort, the glow that promises peace, but hides its price in silence. Because the same fire that warms also consumes. It burns the clarity of thought. It dims the light of awareness. It steals presence from the soul and replaces it with smoke. Many believe they are free in this fire. They dance, they laugh, they surrender to its embrace. But look closer, and you'll see chains disguised as joy. The body grows heavy, the mind grows foggy, the spirit grows distant. This is not liberation. It is bondage wearing a mask of pleasure, because every sip may silence the pain, but it also silences the truth. The fire that consumes does not care for your healing. It does not care for your awakening. It only feeds on your forgetfulness. And the more you drink from it, the less you remember who you are. What feels like freedom is often the beginning of exile, an exile from your own soul. For centuries, seekers have searched for doorways to the divine, some through meditation, some through fasting, some through silence, and others through intoxication. Alcohol promises altered states. It lowers the walls of the mind. It opens strange visions, dreams half remembered, truths half distorted. To the untrained soul, it feels like transcendence. It feels like awakening, but it is only a false doorway. Because awakening is not found in distortion. It is not found in forgetfulness. It is not found in the shadows of blurred perception. True awakening sharpens the senses. It clears the mind. It roots you deeper into reality instead of pulling you away from it. Alcohol offers the opposite. It dims the clarity you need. It replaces silence with confusion, truth with illusion, and though it may mimic the path, it never leads to the destination. The false doorway is tempting because it feels immediate. No discipline, no patience, no surrender to silence. But every shortcut comes with a price. The soul cannot be reached through escape, because the only real doorway is the one that leads you deeper into presence, not away from it. Why do people drink? Rarely for taste, rarely for celebration alone. Beneath it all, there is a quieter reason: escape. To escape the weight of silence, to escape the pain of memory, to escape the emptiness that rises. When the noise fades, the cup becomes a shield, a mask, a way to soften what feels unbearable. But here's the shadow. What you escape does not disappear. The wound remains. The fear waits. The silence grows heavier each time you refuse to face it. Alcohol may silence the voice of pain, but it also silences the voice of the soul, the very inner guidance that longs to lead you through the darkness, is drowned beneath intoxication, and so the cycle repeats. Pain leads to escape. Escape leads to more pain, until the soul itself feels distant, unreachable, forgotten. This is the true shadow of escapism. Not that it numbs the wound, but that it numbs the healer within, because you were never meant to escape life. You were meant to enter it fully, even the parts that hurt, for only by walking through the shadow do you find the light waiting beyond it. People drink for many reasons, but deep down, they are all searching for one thing: silence, the quieting of the restless mind, the softening of inner noise, the peace that feels just out of reach. The cup promises it. For a moment, the chatter fades. The edges blur. It feels like relief. But the silence never stays, because what alcohol offers is not silence, but suppression. And suppression is not peace. It is postponement. The noise returns louder than before, demanding to be heard. The true silence of the soul cannot be poured into a glass. It cannot be borrowed for a night and paid for in the morning. It is not intoxication. It is presence. Real silence does not numb you. It awakens you. It sharpens the breath. It deepens the stillness. It reminds you of who you are when everything else falls away. This is why the cup always disappoints, because it offers the shadow of silence, but never the reality. The silence you seek is already inside you, but it can only be found by turning inward, not by running away. The soul doesn't crave intoxication. It craves presence, not the blur of escape, but the sharp clarity of being here, fully alive, fully awake. Presence doesn't numb the pain. It transforms it. It doesn't silence the truth. It reveals it. And while the cup promises forgetfulness, presence offers remembrance of who you are, of what matters, of the light that no shadow can erase. But presence must be practiced. It must be cultivated. It must be chosen again and again, not once in a lifetime, but daily, in breath, in silence, in awareness. If this message resonates with your inner journey, you may be ready to go deeper. I've created a 19-day journal called The 19-Day Awakening. It's not just pages. It's a sacred space for reflection, healing, and inner transformation. You'll find it in the first pinned comment below. When the time is right, because the real path is not about escape. It is about returning to your body, returning to your breath, returning to your soul. This is the call to presence, and it is calling you now. Energy is life. It flows through breath, through thought, through every beat of the soul. But alcohol disrupts this flow. It clouds the current. It scatters the vibration. What was sharp becomes dull. What was alive becomes heavy. What was fluid becomes blocked. This is why sensitivity fades when intoxicated, why intuition grows quiet, why the subtle whispers of the soul are drowned in noise. Alcohol doesn't just alter the mind. It alters the field of energy itself. Every emotion, every intention, every pulse of awareness is carried on your energetic current. And when that current is clouded, so is your connection to yourself, to others, to the divine. Some think alcohol gives them courage, but it is not courage. It is disconnection. True courage arises from presence, from alignment, from clarity. Alcohol removes all three, leaving only emptiness dressed as strength. The energetic consequences run deeper than a hangover. They echo in the soul's field. They dim the very light you came here to carry. And every time you choose clarity instead, every time you honor presence, that light grows stronger. Because energy responds to truth, always. If alcohol dims the soul, why does the world celebrate it? Why is the cup raised at every gathering, every victory, every moment meant to feel alive? Because society has built an illusion, a story repeated so often that it became truth. The illusion says, this is joy, this is freedom, this is connection. But watch closely, and you'll see the opposite. Joy that fades into sorrow, freedom that turns into dependence, connection that dissolves into loneliness. Cultures normalize what numbs them. They glorify the very poison that keeps them asleep. It becomes tradition. It becomes identity. It becomes unquestioned. And so generations drink, believing they are celebrating life, while slowly stepping away from it. But illusions crack, and once you see the truth, you cannot unsee it. You notice the heaviness behind the laughter. You feel the emptiness behind the cheer. You recognize the escape hiding beneath the ritual. This is the collective illusion, a trance disguised as celebration. And when you awaken from it, you realize that you were never missing joy. You were only taught to look for it. At the bottom of a glass, there comes a moment when the illusion no longer satisfies. The laughter feels hollow. The escape feels heavy. The fire that once promised relief now tastes like ash. And in that moment, the soul whispers, "Come back." Back to the breath, back to the body, back to the silence that doesn't numb, but heals. This is the return to clarity. At first it feels uncomfortable, raw, exposed, because without the mask, the pain returns, the wounds rise, the shadows ask to be seen. But this is the path, not away from yourself, but deeper into yourself. Clarity does not promise ease. It promises truth, and truth is what the soul has longed for all along. Not the blur of forgetfulness, but the sharp light of remembrance. When you return to clarity, colors seem brighter. Breath feels fuller. Presence tastes sweeter. You no longer need the cup to feel alive, because life itself becomes intoxicating. This is the gift of returning. The realization that everything you sought in the fire was already waiting in the silence. In the end, the cup was never the answer. Not the one filled with fire, not the one passed in celebration, not the one raised to escape. The true cup is different. It holds no liquid. It holds silence. It holds presence. It holds the truth of who you are, when nothing clouds your soul. This is the cup the mystic spoke of, the chalice of awakening, the vessel of remembrance. It cannot be poured. It cannot be bought. It cannot be emptied, because it is not outside of you. It is within you. Every breath is a sip from it. Every moment of awareness is a taste of its sweetness. And unlike the fire of intoxication, this cup does not consume. It nourishes, it restores, it awakens. The world may still raise its glasses. It may still praise the blur. But you know now, the soul drinks from a different source. A source that sharpens, that clears, that strengthens the light within. So the question is not whether you'll raise a cup. It is which cup you will choose, because the true cup of the soul is waiting. And once you taste it, you will never thirst for illusion again. The cup has always been a symbol, one filled with fire, one filled with silence. One leads to forgetting, the other leads to awakening. The world will keep raising its glasses. It will keep praising the blur. It will keep calling illusion by the name of joy. But you know now, The choice was never about the drink. It was about the soul. Because alcohol can numb you, but it cannot heal you. It can distract you, but it cannot awaken you. The only cup that frees is the one already within you. The cup of breath, the cup of presence, the cup of truth that never runs dry. So the question is not whether you'll drink, it's whether you'll remember. Remember the silence, remember the clarity, remember the power waiting inside. If these words stirred something within you, don't let it fade. Subscribe, share your truth in the comments below, and turn on notifications. Because the journey doesn't end here. The soul has many illusions to break, and many truths to reclaim. And tonight, you choose which cup you raise.